Thank you. It's our cue. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this meeting of the Design Review Board and Historic Preservation Commission of the Village of New Paltz. We're meeting on April 13th, 2026, and starting just a tick after 7 p.m., 7:02. Everyone, could we just quickly give our attention to the minutes, and then I'm going to suggest that we skip the updates if there are any, and go to applications. Did anybody see anything that should be changed on the minutes? So, everything good? Okay, motion to approve. Moved by Camilla, seconded by Stephen. All those in favor? So unanimous. Okay, great. Thank you, Sarah. I'm going to suggest, because Gordon Pine isn't yet ready to come, let us defer that in favor of HTC 2603, which would be Mary Strauss at 143 Huguenot Street, looking for a replacement of the wooden deck. Everybody good with that small change? Yes. Yeah.
And I brought,
Please come on.
okay.
Good evening. You were starting to say that you brought something.
Oh,
Is
all I
there
did was,
something
I just went on the back deck and took a couple of photographs, so you could,
Perfect.
I mean, even though I don't think you really need to know, it's, I mean, did I give you a sketch of?
Yeah, there's a sketch. but
Okay,
it was
yeah,
only
yeah,
the
yeah,
photos.
pretty primitive one, but okay, can I go up there?
Yes, please.
Okay, and I sent it sideways, great, okay.
Well, we're used to turning around.
Oh, I'll get out of people's way, okay, thanks, okay. Oh, okay, this is the view, these are, yeah, that's north, this is Tony Robinson's fence. So you can't see the deck from his yard, okay? Plus he's not out as much as he used to be. Anyway, this is the side of the house, which faces west toward the Oxbow, okay? And I think I mentioned that when you're over at this corner of it, there's a part of it where you can't see the bridge over the Oxbow, and there's a part of it where you can see the bridge over the Oxbow. But it's a considerable distance. I mean, it's not like Tony's fence. And then because of it's in an L of the house, so that Carolee and Steve can't see it.
Yes, yes.
Period. I mean, they just can't see it. And it's rotten.
Yeah.
It's, Mary Lakon did a bunch of renovation in the mid-90s, but the people who owned it for a dozen years after that, like, the saplings in the gutter were that big. They were here on the occasional weekend, I guess. They did, I mean, they were like, oh, what's the furnace filter? I mean, okay, so there was no preventive maintenance. It's rotten, it's dangerous. I want to replace it. The only design change I want to make to modify it is that it has the standard, whatever, I guess are they technically 1.5 by 1.5 or 2 by 2, the vertical slats. Because it's a gorgeous view of the Oxbow, and we're short. I would like to replace it with aircraft table, but again, I know that it's, there's certain spacing intervals for safety.
Right.
And that's the entire thing. It's not extending it out toward the west into the yard. That's the plan.
Thank you. That's great.
Okay.
Great summary. This looked, everybody, to me like pretty much straight ahead, like for like, with the little difference that the rails are going to be different, but that's something we've seen on Huguenot Street before, and in any case, it's your property and it's not visible, highly visible. So I don't see a problem. Does anybody
Speaking as a Huguenot Street resident who replaced the deck with the wire, with the aircraft cable, it's amazing. It's an improvement. You'll love sitting there. It just opens things up.
Yeah, yeah.
So, the email that you got from Sarah was just the,
Which I missed, but okay.
just to fill out the application. Let's have the before and then the after picture, and we'll just put that in the
What
file.
do you mean, once it's completed?
And if you could send the one that you've already taken to Sarah, she can archive that.
Okay,
That's Sarah.
okay, would I be, what's the address I'd be looking for? Would it be HPC or?
Can I actually confirm with you what email I have for you?
Yeah, and
I just want to
I
make sure.
really need to.
That's what I have. Email I have.
You by George? Yes. Can all second.
That's, yeah.
So let's call for the vote. Everybody good?
Yeah.
Or send it again now. What's that?
That was past Saturday morning.
Okay.
It's not true, that's what.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so.
Saturday. Picture.
Yeah, and then you just find it, just send it.
Okay, I'll probably do this with all my business. Oh, sorry.
Great.
We have more. Computer, we don't really programs.
We have a chance.
So while you were talking, we voted in favor, so you got the approval. Sarah, George moved, Camilla seconded, unanimous.
Thank you.
Sounds like a great project.
I don't think it will change the whole character of the streets.
No, I think we're all probably pretty safe. Good luck with the project.
Anyone who walks there will be safer.
That sounds good.
It's dangerous.
And when it's done, please send Sarah an after picture and it'll just be part of the file.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Yay. Okay, so the next thing is to just go and get a building permit. Apply for
Yes,
that,
correct. Right, and at that point, they will confirm what those intervals are. I think it's 4 inches, but I may not be correct on that.
Pretty sure it's.
Do you know that, Stephen? What the spacing
I
requires?
think it's 4 inches. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
They'll
great.
know all
Okay, thank you.
that.
Thank
Of
you.
course. Have a nice evening. We are running well ahead of anticipated, but given that there wasn't, the next item is going to be a summary of updates to the pending application for the visitor center at Huguenot Street. I think we can go ahead and hear that summary. We will, just for anyone gathered on that topic, this is not going to be a formal occasion for public hearing. However, we would be happy to hear sort of off the cuff responses after the presentation, should you wish to do that. I will promise that there'll be, the public hearing is actually technically still open, but we will make sure to advertise opportunities for public input at a future meeting. Welcome back.
Thank you. So I don't think we're going to make a formal presentation. Excuse me. I think at the last joint meeting, you heard all of the changes really relative to what things you are going to be considering. And your assessment of the project. And we thought we could be here in support of answering questions if you need to. And I think we want to make sure that we have an understanding of what things are going to be. How would you explain that, Andy? Criteria for.
So at the last planning board meeting, they basically, my name is Andy Woodruff, I'm with ADG Architects. But basically, the planning board wanted some clarity on the design feedback.
Okay,
And the idea of getting a architectural consultant to review as a third party came up. And we mentioned that there is an HPC design committee part of this process, so let's get them to chime in. And so basically, I think the planning board wants a better understanding of HPC's general overview of the appropriateness of the architectural design. So we're still gonna go full on to the HPC through all of the details and specifics. But I think they were looking for some guidance as far as, and some understanding of SHPO's role in this. So how does that affect their role? They are lead agencies, so they seemed like they needed some assistance on the design aspect of the project.
Which isn't really under their purview. So they wanted, before they proceeded with
right.
the seeker, they wanted to make sure that they understood your perspective. Not
That
that
the thing presented as the super application
as
roughly
revised.
matches what we're.
And to clarify, we have not made any design changes since we presented to the joint. So that is all the same. We are working through the planning board, which is engineering, concepts, stormwater, lighting, traffic, habitat. We're going through all of that right now. But yeah, it seemed like design, they would like some, to see what HPC had to say.
And I think we had reported at the joint meeting that we had received feedback on both the archaeology and from the State Historic Preservation Office.
Right, I think we heard that in our last.
Yeah.
Presentation, yes, yeah. Let me just, I think SHPO's role is done. I mean, you have sought their opinion, and it's an opinion of no harm.
So
In
it's submitted to SHPO, there is a back and forth, all of that is uploaded on Unica Labs, so the whole process is their response, our response to their response. We send them extensive design documents, all of the view shed from every point around the site, looking at where the building would be, what we would see, leaf on, leaf off, all of those studies. And they did certify no harmful effect to
Right.
the historical nature of it.
Is it your understanding that process is now complete?
That process is complete.
That'd be my understanding as well. I mean, there's no precedent for a project of this size on Huguenot Street, so we have never involved SHPO to that extent, but this sounds like the right thing to do, and it sounds like the right process.
One of the reasons we proceeded with getting their feedback was because it was mentioned in a big question mark, because we were referencing the guidelines of that serve them. And we said, why should we be speculating? Let's just go to the source and get their direct feedback on this. The one thing that could change is if during construction, there is anything from an archaeological perspective that is uncovered, that we would have to stop immediately and engage archaeologists and.
So could I share and just put an image up on these,
Yeah.
so we can kind of see, everyone remembers what we're talking about?
Yeah, that's. Okay, that entire SHPO piece of it is basically unprecedented. I mean, we don't typically bring a certificate of appropriateness application at the village level to the state, but it seems to me prudent that you did.
I think it's because of our status as a National Historic Landmark and Landmark District, that we're governed by the National Park Service and Department of the Interior, in a sense of governing is not the right word, but overseeing, I guess, is the better.
Well, every project we undertake on site is passed through SHPO.
Yeah,
Okay, so you're more familiar
Oh, yeah.
than we would.
It's a regular
the Dean House roof, the Bavaria Alton House that's now undergoing major restoration, all had to go, to SHPO, and they often put covenants on projects, like particularly for restoration, since this is a new building, they didn't make a requirement, any kind of covenants.
When we did upload the standards, the 175 pages of, details and guidelines on how to, design, renovations, additions, and new construction on for sites. So that's now uploaded.
So this reflects the reduction of footprint, the slight reduction in height, and the outdoor learning center has been moved closer to the building, so it doesn't come out as far. The same for the walkway. So we reduced the non-permeable surfaces by, I don't know the
Yeah.
percentage now, but it's,
That's all the same as we presented previously,
Yeah.
so lots of reduced parking spaces, lots of reduced permeable surfaces, smaller footprint, we moved it to the northeast to have to remove less trees. But we presented all of that with you guys, and
Yeah, we've
that's
seen
all the
that.
thing.
Um,
So I think I just wanted you to weigh in on, a broad kind of SHPO level appropriateness, I think, is the right word.
well, before we do that, could I just ask, one of the things that was left hanging the last time we met was SHPO thought that the natural columns were actually too natural.
Rustic.
Too rustic.
Yeah.
What is your response to that then?
We made them more or less cylindrical.
So you
And we
you plan to
resubmitted
abide
it.
by that?
and then they approved that.
Did they make that a condition or a recommendation?
We assumed it was a condition when we wanted to
Yeah,
comply with their requests,
it
so.
was probably more of a rendering thing anyway, the reality of the columns is sort of in between probably, but yeah, it's.
That's aligned with the Department of Interior guidelines that want this to not try to replicate other buildings in the site.
Yeah, and that's where I wanted to maybe start the discussion. I mean, one of the things we are basically, I mean, we're sort of agents for SHPO, really, if you want to think of it that way. We are empowered and commissioned by SHPO as a certified local government entity. And as a rule, we follow Secretary of Interior's standards. In a village setting like New Paltz, we can never enforce every letter of that 75-page document, and it wouldn't be fair to property owners to do that. But one of the things that I have thought about this whole time is that, pretty clear direction not to try to replicate what's around it with new construction. And so that makes me feel even better than I did the first time about the design. It's, in my view, it's thoughtful. It's not trying to replicate stone houses, which would be sort of idiotic to do in 2026. But I would personally just point to the use of thoughtful materials that have some local connection. I'm kind of sad to see the rustic columns go.
Yeah,
I will defer to SHPO
yeah.
on this. The use of natural stone, the uninterrupted glass, which I think among other things, solar gain one basis. And I guess I would say last of all, I was pleased that you responded to kind of the first round of criticism or comments by shrinking the footprint and thinking a little bit more about where exactly it's going to be sited and how that responds to trees, and especially pleased that the parking, which seemed kind of overwhelming and very blacktoppy to me, and I think a lot of people, I think that was a positive move.
So that's been reduced from 103 to 58 spaces.
With some swing parking, those
There's swing
permeable.
parking that
And
is
grass.
just, it's real grass.
Yeah.
It's not,
28 paved, 20 grass block pavers, and then a structured grass, which is basically just
That's the term.
gravel space, so that it doesn't get rutted for event parking, overflow.
but it won't be marked off or in any way have, the lines won't be,
Right.
there will be no
It
lines.
just looks like grass.
Somebody will help guide people come in if we have a big event.
Yeah.
And most of those happen to be the village and town that have the big events such as the Christmas fair, it's not called the Christmas fair, but it's the
Holiday hoopla, trick or treat.
trick or treat on Huguenot Street, the egg roll, or Easter egg hunt, egg roll. And those tend to be our largest.
We are looking through the gates too, we took that comment and all the board and design team all sort of agreed that we don't love the idea of these ticketed sort of automatic kiosk style gates either, so now those are simplified to just manual tickets to be automatic, but they'll basically open when the center facility is open and close when the facility is closed, so that eliminates the cut through. And
Yeah, that is a change since.
That is a
we didn't
Yeah,
go over
in the driver of that,
Yeah, and we,
particular angle,
we think it's gonna look a lot nicer, but we don't quite have anything to show
nothing's
yet.
drawn up yet.
Nothing we wanna share just quite yet. But again, we will get into those details extensively, I'm sure.
but it's not gonna be an arm that goes up,
Yeah.
metal arm, it's going to be a gate that swings
Yeah, wood and
open
stone and simple.
and wooden, possibly either with wooden posts or stone posts to tie in some of the work in the visitor center. And, there will be no getting a ticket or anything. The driveway will be closed when we're not open. And, no traffic will be allowed in or out. So we thought that was, we tried to come up with a solution that was gonna somehow enable us to manage it, and we heard what you were saying, and also other comments about it's gonna be a pain to try to get tickets and somehow charge for that for people that are using the rail trail and not coming in through HHS. So yes, we'll get some people coming in that
We have said we will run power and data there in case in the future that type of solution is more appropriate.
And there are ways to do that. I mean, you're back to sort of tickets or punching in.
Yeah.
A license thing, but I'm pleased to hear you moving in that direction. I think.
and it's one way from North Forks and two-way coming in Broadhead.
That's great. Those are my thoughts. Maybe we could just put it down. I mean, you really want our sort of bird's eye level reaction, so those are mine.
Did I see the chairman of the planning board here? Do you want to clarify any more about what is important for you to receive tonight?
Sure, if I may.
Please, yeah.
Yes, I think the summary you provided was helpful. The planning board is beginning the seeker process. We're going to be working on the seeker part 3 part 2 at the next meeting. I'm really going into the details of all the different environmental impacts, including impacts on the historical character of the town. And yeah, I was hoping that the HPC could really look at the design and the proposal, the site plan is part of that as well, and sort of apply SHPO's guidelines themselves and really make a determination of their own to think to say if they believe that it is following those guidelines, if there are any areas that could be improved. Yeah, I think that the applicant has stated that you know, it matches this, you know, some of these guidelines. However, I would, you know, appreciate it if the board really looked at the spirit of those, you know, those guidelines and assessed what they thought about the current design.
So,
Out of all the pages that are in that document, there's only one, I think it's on the last page, that addresses the recommendations for new construction.
mhm.
Everything else is for, I mean, there's pages and pages of material, but it's for restorations, it's for additions being added to other buildings, there's only a pretty tight section at the end of the guidelines that we, I think, went through at one.
We've now uploaded that, or we will tomorrow, the project site on the.
That'd be helpful.
Just so everyone knows what
I
we're talking
think
about.
that's a great idea
Not
because,
only the full document, the 175 pages, but the last, I believe it's 7 that deal out of all with any new construction.
that would be good. Because that puts in effect, the working document in the public's eye.
Yeah.
And,
It's helpful to review.
yeah, no, it is.
It's a lot of common sense. It's a lot of things we took to heart.
And Shane spent a lot of time looking at that himself, and, you know, it's confusing because there's a lot in there, but
There's a lot in there. I mean,
but when you get down to the new construction, standalone construction, it becomes a little bit more focused.
it becomes, more about principles and less about techniques. I mean, the first 65 plus pages can be very technical, and then there are the technical bulletins
Yeah.
beyond the standards. So I think we are working from that set of guidelines as well. George, how about, let's just kind of go down and share response.
Yeah, I just recently received it, so I haven't had time to review it. I think we just got it a few minutes ago.
Sorry, this?
Yeah, all the new drawings.
I don't know if
these
this
aren't
is the same link that I got originally from the PB. I think this is a different.
This isn't, were you at the joint hearing, George, or were you away that night?
I was away.
So you probably didn't see all
That's
the
what's going on.
changes.
Okay, I didn't see
That's,
that.
Yeah.
I remember you not being.
Okay,
Yeah, that's right.
But this is. But they're all on the site. This isn't.
Okay.
Yeah,
No, this is pulled from the file of what was submitted. at
this
that
is what we saw, but now I
Okay.
remember it.
that's right.
Yeah,
Very good.
and apologize too.
And this shows kind of the big thing that the public was interested in was protecting the picnic grove and the trees surrounding that, which we did by shifting the location of the building.
Yeah.
Toward Broadhead.
There's also all of the view sheds are there, which, view sheds are just photographs from the site taken from a particular point. And then we superimpose the outline of the building. And so you kind of see what you might actually see from all different points all over the site. You can see these are, there's a map here, so all of these points, you can see what the building would look like from these different places.
And the other thing, I think those view shed renderings show is that how the color choices for the building make it really disappear.
That's a good point. I don't think we ever really talked about color. Camilla?
I feel like I'm always the contrarian, and I apologize for that, but I think the Secretary of the Interior's guidelines also talk about the size, that new construction should not cover around the historic, the existing historic structures, and I know that there is a need for the size of the building that you are suggesting, so I'm just feeling a bit of a conflicting, needs and conflicting guidelines, and I'm not sure how can it be resolved in a way that's acceptable for everyone.
I think the premise has to be that by using the existing buildings for these uses, it will really cause much faster deterioration in historic buildings. We're using them now for purposes that should not be what they're being used for. And traffic coming in and out is one thing, weight of the archaeology and things like the Geo House has archaeology boxes in the attic and actually we took it off the market. So the premise has to be that we need this building. And that was recognized by multiple studies. So I think you have to get to the point you need it. I need this size building. In fact, it's smaller than me probably.
Yeah.
And we don't want variance for that footprint. The other thing is, I don't remember if we talked about the fact it's on the site of what had been a candle factory, and actually a bigger facility that was there into the sixties, I think. So there's precedent in that way, and it's the farthest corner of the site, it's the least historic portion of the chambers.
So actually on that, I think we had discussed, or I requested like an overlay of the new building with like the footprint of the existing candle. Because I think one of the things that helped me have like a paradigm shift on this project was, oh, there was a building there. So there's a precedent for that. Oh, there was a carriage road where, the parking entrance is going. And so to me, that was like the strongest argument to make the building, at least the location and size consistent, or at least, jive with the interior standards. Because I think the details and the design, I think is consistent with, what the standards lay out. But I think, similar to Camilla, I think my biggest issue up until you made that point was the size and the kind of, disruption of the lawn. But I think since there was an existing building there, that's a really strong case that the building, that the proposal is appropriate. But did you ever get a chance to do like an overlay drawing for the site?
Well, we searched for, the history of that
Yeah.
structure. We believe it was torn down in the fifties or sixties.
Okay.
It was also a workshop, but we couldn't get its exact footprint or scale or location. So we have like one.
We have one photograph, right?
photo, pretty enormous.
Yeah, it's more like Sanborn maps.
Yeah, it's there's Sanborn.
I think we looked. Karen Johnson looked.
Our team looked and they looked, so anyone else feels free to find.
Well, even the photo, you said you have a photo, maybe.
The photo was, I can't remember if that was submitted.
I don't remember.
No, I don't think, that was, when we last talked, that was a sort of surprise
You did,
revelation.
from the photo, you can get that.
We do have one photo, and it's sizable, like that's basically. how you can see it.
And the build, you can see the scale of the building is big.
Yeah,
Going down that lot. You can't see exactly where it is, but it's gotta be somewhere between Broadhead and the building. And the reason HHS bought it was for parking, to expand parking. They didn't want the building was torn down, but you can get a sense of how ugly and big this building was.
but I think, I guess I'm just saying that because I think it helps your case. I mean, maybe even, like from the perspective of that photo of the existing building, maybe you can do like a rendering to be like A, B, like C, the candle factory was larger or whatever, because I think, to me personally, I don't want to speak for everybody else, like to me, that was crucial on having kind of, as I said, like a paradigm shift as to like, the building's location and size being appropriate.
The siting was critical here. I mean, we looked at several places, where should this go?
Yeah.
And that is the most disturbed area, it's the first entrance into the Huguenot district.
And it's only, I think it's less than 25% of the building is outside of that.
Just the corner is outside of what you see now, if you just did
If you look
a
at
satellite map of the site today. Almost the entire thing is inside that field.
Then that field is where the candle factory was located.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm with Shane on that, is you can do any kind of overlay, even with a disclaimer that you're working from the best
Yeah.
data that you have. You've been to the historic collection at Elton?
Yeah, Carol is the one who got,
Okay.
It's on the
If
phone.
that's what Carol came up with, I guess that.
this is all you could come up with, really. It was the article and.
The other thing I would say, this is a suggestion that came, I think, back at our very first meeting or at that joint meeting, to do the balloon simulation at some point. It came from Michael Zeeler.
We can do a balloon study.
Yeah,
We thought that the renderings would suffice because you got,
well, one of the things that we've heard from the public is that scale is not the same, or height is not the same thing as scale.
Yeah.
And I think that's a valid point, that, I mean, you've demonstrated that this is not gonna be unduly tall compared to some of the.
What I was
peaks
gonna
of-
say, a little bit, like the rendering sometimes can be a little deceptive sometimes, like. We even, to show the building without trees, we have to remove some trees to even see the building, so it looks like this expansive, big
Mhm.
structure. But I pulled this slide up here to show that the scale is not huge. Right, it's
And are we seeing actual trees or proposed trees or?
I believe these are actual as best we can do.
There's going to be
Yeah.
a good many more too, where there's going to be plantings as well.
We're gonna have a net positive,
Native
more
trees.
trees, yeah.
Okay,
it'll be a not, not,
Correct, yeah.
they'll all be appropriate for the area.
so just to kind of keep things moving, I think Shane's given you a really good suggestion.
Mhm.
And I think Michael Zeeler some months ago also did. At some point, the balloon demonstration test could be very helpful for
Yeah.
making that point if, if you feel you need to. And that definitely was a theme in the public comments that we heard. People
We're
were
happy to
worried
do that.
about-
We stake corners all the time. That's helpful as well to walk the
Yep,
the
I
perimeter.
think that's helpful.
All of those things we're happy to do.
Stephen, have you?
I think the improvements with traffic are especially notable, so the gate idea seems to be developed a great deal more. That seems to be eliminating potential problems or reducing potential problems. And no entry tickets and charges, I think that would streamline things a great deal. And I agree with both gentlemen about the candle factory and the precedence of what has existed there. That is very useful in helping get an idea of what is suitable for there.
As long as we know it's our best
We'll do
guess.
what we can.
Exactly. Right, no, and I think, that's done in a spirit of honesty, like nobody can produce documents that don't exist, but if you've done real work and Carol has done real work, then I think we can see. So the candle factory must have been fairly recent.
Yes, they're into the sixties, yeah.
I mean, but it existed into the sixties, but do we have any idea what was built?
Carol from the know. There was also a glass factory, Dale Hall was a glass factory.
But it's quite commercial.
I think that's important for the community to know. In a way, this is kind of the boundary of the commercial part of New Paltz that's.
Yeah, it's important for, we heard a lot of feedback from the community about how beloved this park is. And we totally agree, and we placed it here so that almost the entirety of the green space is preserved. We are really only in this field, except for a tiny corner, really, but for the most part, that's in this field.
Colleagues, any other things? I'd like to have a few minutes. We do have an agenda, and as I said, there'll be time for formal public comment, but we could take 10 minutes or so if people want to respond. But first, anything else from anyone? Does anybody from the public want to say anything briefly and to kind of what we've heard tonight rather than, please? And just because we'll put this in the minutes, if you kindly give your name to Sarah.
Sure, yeah, I'm Charlotte Moss, I live at 2 Huguenot Street, which is in the Town and Country condos, and my neighbors here with me may want to say something, but we love being neighbors to the stone houses. It's a beautiful neighbor. I don't know if you feel the same about us, but we love I have a question. Was there another traffic study done? We're concerned about the traffic.
We are as well, and we decided, and this is news for also the.
I think this
board as
planning
well
board
as the
was
HPC,
completed.
but we are going to pursue a more comprehensive traffic study with numbers that, you know, having.
Flow rates and actual counts and.
Okay, and the parking.
That's 144 units. A number of them have two cars, so,
Some may not have any, but some may have more than one.
it's a very viable, entrance and exit to town and country. That's really our concern of having, I see the one, am I understanding it correctly? It would be one way.
In?
The one
In? North Front Street, the traffic would be going into the Huguenot House, into the Huguenot House.
Out Broadhead. Do you know where the
They're
kids?
coming in on Broadway?
They can, they could do, Broadhead will be two-way.
Oh, okay.
Buses, school buses and tour buses would use Broadhead.
Oh, okay, that helps, yeah.
But on North Front Street, that would be the one
One
way.
way.
And-
One way
so-
in.
One way in.
Right,
So you
From North
can
Front Street.
exit from.
but that would be, that's, so North Front is a two-way street, so you could have people driving east and making a left into the Huguenot, or you can have people coming from North Chestnut and making a right into the prime.
People speed around there.
Yeah, and there's people walking, all that, we live there, you know,
Yeah.
it's always,
a lot of traffic.
people walk in on North Front Street, they don't even use the sidewalk. So, and then throw in some emergency vehicles.
Nobody stops at that stop sign either.
Yeah, that's right.
No.
That's another issue.
Throw in the cars that are there. Yeah, so anyway, that's, you know, what we're concerned about.
To raise the.
The rail trail being there, if traffic were to back off towards North Chestnut, then all of a sudden they're gonna be blocking the rail trail. And you've got kids speeding on their bikes and, you know, the rail trail itself traffic that goes right across there, very close.
We have the issue already on Broadhead,
Sure, yeah,
because it's the same.
yes, yes.
Thing, but but we are sensitive to it, and we just don't think we're gonna resolve the issue without actual numbers.
Yeah, okay,
So
okay,
that-
great, okay, it's really good, thank you, yeah, yeah.
And
Thank you,
just,
thank you.
Charlotte, just to help understand sort of the division of oversight here, that's really gonna be a planning board
Okay,
matter, so you should definitely
Okay.
watch the planning board
okay, thank you,
schedule,
Yeah.
stay on the traffic study.
Okay.
We will get the results of that, but that isn't really inherent to architectural review.
okay, thank you.
Yes,
I just wanted to make a quick comment about the nature of the building, and I can certainly understand that in general, there's guidelines, it sounds like the city, you shouldn't try to mimic historical buildings. I feel like in this context, it's hard for me to see how that applies. We have,
What's his name, sorry?
I'm sorry, just our name, Zachary Leeds, I live on
Yeah.
Main Street, 102 Huguenot.
sorry, I forgot to
Yeah, correct.
prompt you.
I wasn't trying to be anonymous. The Huguenot Street, I think, is famous for being the oldest street in America, and I don't think that has any technical meaning. I think the meaning of it is that it is the oldest street that is still intact for however many years it's been. It still looks like, somewhat like what it originally looked like. This completely, well, I don't know if it completely, but it dramatically changes that feeling. So I can understand that in general, you don't want to try to mimic the historical buildings. In this context, in the middle of a residential street where other people live, but also where a street that is known for being a residential street, and that's the fame of it, that's the specialness of it. It seems out of place to put in a building that doesn't fit with the surroundings. The other really quick thing I wanted to say was that in terms of I think the neighborhood, and I have been surprised that this is being proposed, because our experience with this board is that you're very committed to keeping Huguenot Street as it is. I've had a couple of applications to change things about my house. One was 7 or 8 years ago, we wanted to make our window in our kitchen 6 inches higher and 6 inches lower. And it was denied by this board because it would create asymmetry between our one window in the house and another window. And there's very little symmetry in our house, but that was the decision. I've had another application that was granted, but it was with strict understanding that I was keeping it exactly the same as it had been. I was converting a porch into a 4-season room, and it was understood that I needed to keep it looking exactly the same as much as possible as it did before. And so I think it's surprising to see such a big change being proposed to the neighborhood.
We wanted to say anything.
Let's see if there are other comments. I do want to kind of keep more or less to our agenda. Are there other comments from the public? Yes, Greg, if you give your name, please.
Greg Ken, Huguenot Street. I agree with my neighbor on a lot of points. I have a lot of kind of questions and comments, but I'll just try and limit it to like the most narrow purview that your board is concerned with. If we could go to the rendering that shows the entrance, I'd appreciate that. So it's where my comments lie. So the guidelines, the federal guidelines may be brief, but I think they essentially boil down to, as my neighbor said, not mimicking the historical structures, so there's no confusion, but at the same time being compatible. And granted, there are materials here that try and reference those of the existing buildings. But when I look at that tall stone wall, which is a flat stacked stone, which is very different than the stone that is used in the historic houses, that troubles me because it's close enough that you'd be confused and not distinct enough that it's a clear difference. It's also introducing to the district stone not as a structural element, but as a purely aesthetic element. So that wall is not a stone wall, it's a facade covering a mechanical an interior that's hiding the mechanicals. And I frankly, I don't think it works. And then the other element that I don't think works and that jumps out at me is that entrance element. And the interior lighting next to the stone wall, both of those things say to me that they're trying to draw attention to themselves. And again, my understanding from reading over the guidelines is that a new structure should not be competing aesthetically with the other houses. It may be a compatible color that blends in, but that stone wall and that entrance hall say, look at me. And if the final thing I'll say for now is if the monument from the corner of in front of the Gina Hanslick house, if that is going to be moved, as I understand, over on this side, that's going to be severely diminished by that very tall faux stone wall. So those, in terms of design, I have issues with scale and other things, which, you know, but for now, to keep my comments brief, I think those two design elements are not, from what I've read, consistent with the interior guidelines. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Thank you very much. Quite a few things for us to think about.
I appreciate that comment. I think,
Yeah. But
you know, it's similar to what would happen at the last planning board meeting. We reached a point where maybe everyone's not going to agree on taste and on design and how this should look. So what do we do? What's the process? Who makes the call? What are the guidelines? Because when we hear things, it's hard for us to like, it's too big. It's hard for us to objectively know, what do we respond to? What do we study? What's the number?
Right.
What, you know, so some of this, we just have to follow the process and trust these boards. So.
I mean, I think we're in the process. I mean, this sort of democratic input is messy and slow
Yeah.
and all of that, and get signals from different directions. One of the things I took from Greg's recent comment is something we hadn't thought about, which is, you know, that is intended to be referencing bluestone, which is a native product. But it's true that Huguenot Street houses don't have that kind of stone, so there's something that could be thought about.
The sidewalks do.
Sidewalks do, what's left of them, unfortunately, but you know, that's a thought that we can all continue to think about. Honestly, it's the first time I saw it that way, but I think there's something to that. Likewise, the moving of the monument, there is a point that, you know, this is gonna be perhaps a distraction from the monument, but maybe that's okay. It's the first time I've thought about that particular piece of it.
If I could just make a comment on the monument, we're not even convinced we can move it. We've had experts come and the stone has been so compromised. It's got cracks and we don't even know for sure we could move the monument without causing more problems. So that's the intent. The intent is for the monument to be well outside of the entrance. It's not going to be off right at the entrance. It's going to be where the flags are, and if it gets moved. But I think we don't know for sure. You know, we've had an expert come up from New York to analyze kind of how do we stabilize it, how can we move it. And if I could just make a comment that the stone was supposed to replicate the feel of Sky Top and the Immaculate Cliffs, the Gunks.
Not stone
And
houses.
what's that?
Not stone houses.
Not stone houses. So,
The environment.
and what you can't see is if you go back to the night shot, the elements that we were bringing in were the view of the Gunks. So the wall, that's kind of continuing the look and feel of the Gunks and Sky Top. And then on the other side is the feel of the water, the oxbow and the stream. So those were the design elements that were considered to be important. And you lose it a little bit in these, you know, see, there's the
Oxbow.
the oxbow.
Got it.
So that's just so people know where they came from. It's not from the.
And that's what brought all the different populations to this area geographically. These are the natural elements that everybody swarmed to, right? So, and that's a huge part of our story now, the indigenous history that isn't represented in those stone houses at all. So we're trying to accomplish a lot. And again, to come up with a design that would meet all the interpretive needs that we have now with all of these populations, the stories we're trying to tell. And there are 19th century houses all over Huguenot Street. What time is it? What period are we picking? So that's why you want to go there.
There isn't anything to replicate really. I mean, do you try to do, you know, a wigwam? Do you try to do?
Yeah.
You know, people say that the old houses, there aren't that many. There's what, 7 stone houses left.
Yeah.
And that includes DO House, which is only a portion.
And just to bring it back a little bit, these are great, perfect things for HPC, right? What type of stone is this? What should these images be? Is the shape absolutely perfectly in HPC purview? I think what we were trying to do here was get a more broad, just level of appropriateness on the architectural design.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's what we should conclude with now.
Yeah.
From what I'm hearing from the board, I think there's general consensus that this is a pretty good design and that the changes that have been offered are moving in the right direction. I appreciate that you'd like a firm answer now, but we can't really do that without more public input. I mean, I think what we can do is give you a sort of point along a process, but the question that I had is when is the appropriate time for us to call for public comment vis-a-vis the seeker application? We know that's going to take a long time.
And planning is having a public hearing the 21st.
Okay, so one of the things I'd say to the public tonight is that that should be on your calendars, 21st, particularly questions about traffic. And I actually was a little surprised that we were going to have you this evening because my understanding from the last meeting is that we were sort of on the back burner until the seeker was completed. And it's fine that we're not, but that was my.
I think it was a sequencing issue. They,
Yeah.
Zach can explain a little bit, but, they gave their, neg deck or whatever, and then it comes to you guys, they're sort of already had their say, so they wanted that earlier. So I believe it was just.
It really arose because people were commenting, don't like it's modern, don't like the glass, don't like, aspects of the building. And then the question came up, all right, who makes those
Yeah.
decisions?
Right.
Because we're not asking for any variances for the size. We're not asking for
Permitted use, it's.
the permitted use has been signed off on.
Height,
It's a
scale and
cultural.
everything, yeah.
So the question is, it came to that you've got
Yeah.
the responsibility for the look of the building. And I think the concept, I think I don't know, don't not put words in your mouth, but is this a concept that we're going to be working with? Was a big part of the question.
Yes, this is not you will eventually have to issue a certificate of appropriateness. And that's when I assume you'll have the public hearings for this board. But we wanted your input sooner. And yeah, specifically, any design input around the look of the building and how it responds to those SHPO guidelines around, materials, massing, location, and anything else that you could provide us.
I mean, I think in some ways, the tenor and nature of what we've discussed so far, this is the third meeting we've had. No one's expressed absolute objection to the design concept. Camilla articulated it, some of us have in previous meetings articulated. We want to be really careful about massing and scale. But I think most of us are satisfied that this strikes a balance between your programmatic and preservation needs and the desire of the community to keep this as small as possible or as inconspicuous as possible. So, I mean, I think you can kind of take that as we're not standing in the way. There are ways, I mean, even seeing the trees in this image helps me understand the scale a little bit better than renderings.
Yeah.
Which always flatten things out and kind of emphasize. I think we're satisfied that the parking seems much more in line with the mission. I mean, honestly, the first pass seemed excessive and the community came up pretty.
Yeah.
Unequivocally.
Much better now, it's more flexible, it makes more sense.
Yeah. I'm pleased to see that the gate is going to be something that feels like it's in historic character of the street. I'm imagining something that's almost sort of agrarian looking, perhaps.
It is almost.
We will.
But I don't need to go back over that thing that nobody wants anymore.
And just as of note, this gate will be replicated on the other two pieces of Huguenot Street that have those wonderful chains and metal posts and
Yeah.
ugly signs.
I'll bear that in mind, because those will have to go.
Well,
It has to be something that works kind of from all the perspectives, but the agrarian approach is exactly.
but this is all, you know, there's bollards here, bollards here, so we're thinking to change this to just the gate here. So it's a lot simpler.
That's Stephen Street right there, where you cross, all the gates
That's
that are
amazing.
crossed from my front.
And the other thing about the monument, it's been, anyway.
Greg, please.
I'm sorry, that last comment, probably, if you're thinking about putting one gate farther up the road, you're just inviting cars to travel up to the gate, and then there's a bottleneck.
No, I think maybe you misheard me. You know,
The gentleman said, talk about getting rid of those two gates and putting.
You mean the bollards?
Yeah, these
Yeah.
are just bollards and chains, and so this would be a proper gate up here, we think.
That's what I was looking.
How,
I think that was
how, cars would travel the extra 20 feet?
I can't tell you how often people now turn in right by the house where the construction is going on. Because the gate is just recessed in.
Yeah.
I see,
That's
okay.
like that. If you change that, traveling down North Front to continue on to Huguenot, if you change that from anything other than a kind of obvious curve, if there's any indication that I can go up this way, people will go up that way.
Yeah.
Without question.
Okay, that's
That's something where
And then be surprised to see the gate there.
we have not really touched it.
No, but I think I mean, there's nobody like somebody who lives on the street to tell you what actually happens, and I
The other things
don't know that.
we can't control we've also talked about the possibility of making that a four-way intersection rather than the stop and go. But we can't dictate to the
Right.
village how to solve the problem. We can only tell them it's a problem now, we know.
This is ripe for improvement, right? If this is moving and it doesn't make any sense now, a solution is here. We haven't gotten it.
Well, I would put a pin in that. I mean, that seems like a really solvable and realistic sort of street level thing that I don't necessarily see because I don't live them.
Greg, were you talking about, you said the house where the construction is, that's the Beer House, so
That's
that's broad.
Correct. And people often come to the end of Broadhead and make a left turn and then seem surprised that the road is closed.
Oh, I see.
Like
Oh, okay.
routine.
The reason we had to do that is the church has a driveway. there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally understand why it is, but I'm just saying, unless it's completely obvious when someone's making a decision about which way to go, they will.
Got it.
I think this.
I didn't understand either. I thought
It's
somehow,
that way for a reason, but it does create that problem.
okay. Again, traffic study could look at that. And let's see. Oh, just to reiterate some other things, I do think you have two powerful ways to demonstrate to the community that the scale is something that most people might accept, and that is, you know, doing the overlay that Shane suggested, and eventually the balloon test and that, you know, that would be my summary. And, you know, at some point I will quickly this week write this up for the planning board, but I don't think you're hearing major fundamental objections. I don't think anybody thinks the design is finalized yet. And we want the community to come out and share everything that they want to share.
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks. Very good. Thank you. Thanks. When do you expect the seeker to be submitted?
Round 2 on the 21st, and then round 3 after that, we'll see.
In the May, do you think? Falls again? Okay. What's your, having the review results or something of this scale?
The timeline?
Yeah, I don't have any sense of how long.
For what is that?
To hear back from the state
From where?
for a secret review.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, and we are.
I have to go to
involved in a
academy as well.
Proper traffic study that could have some impact, so. Probably not, no, probably.
That's just to think
We
about.
just came up with this today, actually, so we've gotta make some calls.
Where would you like ground?
Pardon?
Where would you like to break ground?
Next week. I know.
Yeah.
We have been hoping to break ground before, like, starting in the fall.
In the fall?
It's gonna be difficult.
Yeah.
And, you know, it costs, one thing that we're.
Yeah, but you know,
The big part of the discussion with HPC is how much this is costing the applicants. Because every study has been duplicated, so we get a study and then the village gets a study.
The traffic only be a big one, because that's what we were avoiding, because.
So that's
it can't go.
a lot of them do. There's just no sensitivity, it just seems like spend.
There had to be. Projects going up on North Chestnut Street that could be a big part of what you need.
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, and you might want to
That might-
find out who did those.
Yeah, we talked, yeah, we've got projects on the technical, so we, we've done them, we're familiar with them, they're helpful, we need to do them, and we often agree in today's meetings.
We have to fundraise for every dollar.
Yeah.
It's not like we can pass this cost on to the public. You know, it's.
This one we felt like would keep coming back, because there's just too many unanswered questions, so we have to get the information.
As you step back, I mean, the community really loves this space.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's- I mean, so nothing like this came to us
Cedar
from the
Grove.
North Chestnut Street project.
Oh, yeah.
People did not
It's
experience it.
the same.
Well, the other thing
Same
that's
reason
different about, for
that my
example,
dad hired.
about the house review and the windows is that the existing structure. It wasn't. Everybody's got a second story, so
Sure, but.
I don't know how to solve that problem.
I work with some muscle projects.
Such, I mean, we're.
But if we can find a way to try to keep.
I mean, we're working, at least for our purposes, I mean, we're working from exactly the same documents as the zoning board. So I don't, we're not asking for anything beyond, that we're asking for less than they would ask, but. So please stay in touch, give us the lead time.
Well, this was surprise to us too. You know, we thought we weren't gonna come back until secret.
I think it's a good idea to do it.
I'm glad they're doing it, which is why we appreciate your accommodation on the schedule, because it keeps the process moving at least, Thank you. We're going to have a year now, to do this.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Good day. Okay.
That's all.
But that's something that that's a new angle that explains, that's the point.
I actually mentioned that in the initial review, how the stone wall wasn't actually structural as a stone wall, it was functional. Mentioned that in one of the debates. I think I kind of came around on the stone wall. First of all, I'm happy with the guidelines it says, because I think it's like, right, it's a structural very. Analyze the design, but I think, building stands on something, it's not supposed to vary to building houses, as we know, and I think this film actually, material wise, it's kind of tied in sight, I think I see this point.
Yeah.
About how, but like at the same time, you could say that about any architectural element of this building, it's not you know, or any other material, it's not acting the same way as the house from the 1700s, you know, so it's like a, you know, how far do you take that, you know, so.
Maybe just
That's
have
what-
some variation or something.
Yeah.
Not like all the way, but
Yeah.
maybe start out as just a bunch of stones, or on top of it, and then you have the second.
We can press them.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
If this is. Let's move ahead. We're gonna now, consider DRB 2602, that's PPA of Hudson Valley Inc. It's an application at the planning board for addition of lighting and cement sidewalk replacement at 186 through 194 Main Street, locally known as the Convenient Deli Plaza.
Yes.
Nice, good evening.
Good evening. Or Dedrick,
Or the others, yeah.
Been there.
Thanks for.
Sure.
Sarah got your names or not yet? This is Lee. Lee Bell.
And Tom. Yeah.
Great, welcome.
How you doing?
So, is there new ownership of the complex?
Just 50% new ownership. My father is Dominic. He's been owners with Tony Bettino
Okay.
for the last 46 years now.
Okay.
So Tony came of age and he wanted to retire, so we bought his half.
Got it. Well, congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
Great location, of course. Could you walk us through the plans?
Certainly, it's exterior facade work, basically, because right now we've got a sort of a shed roof that comes off with metal. And it's a little problematic because it does drip onto the sidewalk and parking lot areas, so we're gonna eliminate that by going with a flat facade. So that's the stucco work up on the top. And then we're also gonna rework the window layout.
Excuse me, Nate, can we put that facade up on the screen?
Oh, yeah,
These
yeah.
pictures first?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
You should have this drawing also.
yeah, we do. It's
Yeah, those are the pictures of what's there now.
But you want these or this one?
Did you want this drawing, George?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay,
we have that one.
Should have that, yeah.
it's in there.
Oh,
There.
Yeah, that's it. There you go. Yeah, it's a little easier to
Thank
see.
you.
That way you can see it and we can see.
Right,
Thank you,
right,
thank you.
much easier to see. So, by reworking the windows, we're gonna uniform, the front of it, because right now on the right-hand side, it's virtually all glass, almost like an auto dealership of some sort. And then as you work your way down, the glass changes, and by the time you get down to Convenient Deli, there's just a couple of glasses, pieces of window there. So we're trying to make it more uniform across the entire facade at the front. And, by rebuilding the overhang, we're gonna do some stone pillars, with some tapered wood columns over top of the stone. For the wall, we're gonna do some composite, wood siding, or, wood look, composite siding, and a mix of some stucco as well.
And stone at the base.
Yeah, stone across the base, up to the window sill.
Are we talking about natural stone veneer,
Yes,
not cultured stone?
no, natural stone veneer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a
That's
stone.
a little there.
This is the one that has the post-it mark.
And the siding, you're thinking of party board type composite?
Yeah, you had a picture.
It's the aluminum wood. It's made from aluminum, so it doesn't warp or rust. But it mimics wood planking. Use them in a lot of new commercial spaces.
You don't have a sample of it, right?
No, that's all special
I
work.
don't know. This right.
So the biggest design change, correct me if I'm wrong, is like, is to me, anyway, it's like the roof, right?
Yeah, because right now we've got a tapered metal roof that pitches out onto the sidewalk.
And there's kind of like a center gable right now.
There is, yeah.
So how much taller is that?
Yeah, that was the question.
Right now, well, we have it at 27'4". The existing peak is probably pretty close to that, the peak of the intersecting being all, yeah.
So just to play devil's advocate, like, what is the advantage of this design over the existing roof assembly? Because that, I guess that's like a shallow kind of like metal roof.
Yeah.
And you're saying that,
The main advantage that we're trying to work in is that this won't be pitching any kind of water onto the sidewalk or the walkway. It's completely flat, the roof will drain towards the back of the main roof and eliminate that problem, because especially in the winter time, it does become an issue with icing and that type of thing.
but I guess just asking a stupid question, isn't that something that you could fix with like gutters and leaders?
There's no place.
There's no, yeah, there's no place for them to drain
leaders.
to. Years ago when that, when we looked at that, initially, we thought of trying to put gutters up, but there's just no place for them to go. There's no place for them to tie in or anything like that.
Yeah.
It would essentially just be more ice in one location rather than.
Okay.
I guess the only reason I asked that is because. And don't hate me for this, I guess, I think I kind of like the existing metal roof, but I think it kind of distinguishes it from other plazas, whereas I feel like now this is kind of looks more like the Tops Plaza, whereas like the building right now is more handsome with its kind of unique roof, but that being said, I understand the issues that you guys are dealing with, so that's why I was just wondering if there's another way of solving those without kind of like, changing the style of the building so dramatically. Because I think with the stone veneer and the windows, I mean, I think all that makes a lot of sense and it makes the building more handsome, but I guess personally, and this is just my opinion, this isn't like an established fact or anything, I just think that, I just think it, I don't know. The roof as it is now, I guess, is just more handsome than is what's proposed, but that's a subjective thing. So I guess I was just wondering if there's any way to kind of maintain that roof geometry and material and not change it so drastically, so.
Yeah, it's just, not to interrupt you, it's a safety issue.
Yeah,
Otherwise, honestly, it would be cheaper for us to
Yeah.
recover with new metal and bring it back to life, which would be nice, keep with that design element, but.
yeah,
The issue, we already had 2 women going into Diedrich's, because what happens is the ice will sit on top of the snow, will sit on top of the roof. As the sun hits it and warms it up, it starts to melt. As it hits the contact at that sweet time during the year where it's cold out and the surface is cold, it freezes on contact.
yeah,
So Jensen, who does our maintenance, he'll come and he'll saw it, but he can't be there every day,
for sure.
depending on the weather, you know what I mean? So once it's contact, it freezes up. And we've already had 2 incidences, 2 years, 2 lawsuits, where 2 of Diedrich's Pharmacy's clients have slipped and fallen
Yeah,
because of that ice issue. Otherwise, we would have been happy to keep it, but like Lee says, there's no way of putting gutters, leaders, or to, divert the water. The best way is to build this like it is and divert all the water to the back of the building where there's no issue.
yeah, no, I felt like I had to ask that. I think that being said, I mean, if this is the best way to approach, rebuilding the roof to, to accomplish what it is that you just discussed, I think that the roof geometry and facade layout is consistent with like the existing massing of the building where, it's the center is the tallest and then it kind of steps down, but yeah, so.
As a whole, there's a lot of design elements that's gonna really bring that corner back up to life, because it's pretty dated and it's in desperate need of.
When was, I remember the model that brought that roof to us.
2002, yeah.
2000.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right.
To Shane points, maybe if the central section is brought down. it
Wasn't
would be
quite as high.
the same
Yeah.
level as the,
That's.
right, because the steps up, I think that's what reminds us of Tops.
The tops, yeah, it kind of looks like, and I understand the utility of this type of. Yeah, I understand the utility of this type of like roof design and assembly, and I think it sounds like given the problems that you have, this makes a lot of sense. I just think in terms of like arriving at the best design from the perspective of maybe, the least radical change from what it is now. If that is what the best design is, then it might be, you know, just bringing down that roof to the lowest height as possible. I mean, what do you guys think? Is there a logic to that?
One thing I would point out, if we could, Sarah, could you bring up a picture of the facade as it is? What you'll notice is that there's an extra step. Let's see,
These photos here?
if you have, is there a straight on shot? If not, I have one on my phone from,
Oh.
yeah, there you go, that is next.
Yeah.
You know, it's flat, there's one step and then there's the peak, and to Camilla's point, there's just a lot more mass in the middle now, which may be what you were going for, but I think, you know, think about.
One of the reasons for the extra step was to just because of the length of the building.
Yeah.
Right, job, so we didn't have one complete line going down the whole way.
And we appreciate that, like, that is something.
So, I mean, would you be looking to maybe just reduce it some or eliminate it altogether? So this way we just had one section.
I think his issue is that it's too tall. If we reduce it slightly, in keeping with that, you know, dimensional 3-tier, it'll still aesthetically look good, but we just bring it all down a bit. Correct?
I think that's moving in the direction.
I think that's
what
We'll bring it down.
do we have scale on the two step ups?
I didn't dimension them, no. But we're somewhat flexible on that, just because it's all gonna be new construction, basically, we're gonna be taking off the roof that's there. And, you know, we're not really locked in anything other than hiding the structure that sits behind it. So.
Reducing the levels could be, but
Yeah.
another comment, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's gonna help me and I think it'll help the rest of the board if we had a color rendering. And we could really see what's going on with the building, plus, you know, a sample of what you're proposing.
Color wise?
Which you have.
This is the color of the stucco.
Yeah.
This would be the trim, and that would be the finish.
And then we've got the stone.
That would be the stone, and this would be
This
the,
is the stucco?
that would be the stucco. That's the finish, which is a medium sand finish. And the color of the trim. And that would be the color of the wall, so that it has a little bit of a pop from the stone and the trim color.
The stone is nice.
Yeah.
That looks nice.
And the stone is the tall section on the right?
The one that it's pointing to, right there. That was correct.
Oh, that.
Yeah, that's got quite a bit more variety than the other.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, the New England. And that has a legend and stripe to it.
I do.
Good, Lucy.
I like the one on the right better.
It's hard color for me to know without.
That's why I was asking, you know, I don't know if you could do this, Lee, but it'd be a lot easier for us to see a rendering, color rendering of the building.
Doable?
Sure, I mean, anything's doable.
I mean, we've been getting them on almost every project.
Yeah.
And it just helps. It's a beautiful, that's a nice, important corner of New Paltz. It's an important building, and it'd be nice to really see what it's gonna look like.
I would
I
think so.
think it could be more advantageous with stucco on the side in colors, just, you know, to light on it up a little.
A little bit brighter, a little bit more.
How do you feel about, I mean, it's gonna be the showpiece of that part of town. I think.
Yeah.
Sarah, could you bring up the facade? The drawing up there. There you go. So if I'm just like roughly guessing that maybe it's a 3-foot rise and then a 3.
Yeah, 3 to 4 feet, right, each one. is
Could we maybe
size.
take those down to like 60% of the, I don't know, try dropping.
Yeah, we have some flexibility there in terms of what they were. The reason we arrived at what we have was just to, again, try to break up the length of the building with some different features that would.
And that's totally the right.
Which is,
But we could certainly then use those steps a little bit.
I feel that that's probably right.
yes,
Yeah,
At least worth trying and see how it looks to the architect's eye.
absolutely.
The other thing I wanted to raise, the aluminum wood crane.
That's,
That's an aluminum.
Oh, it's
aluminum?
Yeah. It's
And
just overall a much more durable.
Yeah, I can see the durability
Yeah.
side of it. Can you get a sample of that with the vendor?
I'll try. Yeah.
I'm asking partly because it's a very, almost industrial feel in an area that's, got a lot of clapboard. And that's why I thought when you said composite siding, I thought we were talking hardy board, which has done very well for a lot of.
What about like a board and batten even? I'm open to that.
Wouldn't that?
It would be very nice, yeah.
That would be very nice.
A hardy wood batten or
It's actually-
LP.
Yeah. Board and batten, I think I'm right about this. If you should ever get, vandal cracking, I mean, with enough force, you can crack hardy board. The board and batten, I think, is easier to replace than.
Very easy.
So I know you've got to think about those things with the semi-public space. I don't know if I'm the only one responding to that siding material, but just.
Shane, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean,
I like it per se, but I'm just thinking where the building is and what's around it.
yeah, yeah, I mean, it'd be great to see a sample of, I mean, it's not like we're all married to like, it has to be hardy board, it's just that that's what, in terms of like a composite wood, that's what we're familiar with, and we know that it's successful, so I guess since it's something else, it would be helpful to see a sample if this is what you're set on. I mean, I think the board and batten, would work nicely with the stone also, I think I think that would be a viable option, but I mean, if you like this, just
Bring it down.
just bring a sample and we can take a look at it.
Whoever wants to sell it to you can, they'll find.
And maybe when you do the color rendering, if you prefer to use that, maybe you could show us one with.
Yeah.
It's only the click of a button with the hardy, with the board and batten. It doesn't have to be hardy board, it could be LP side, and maybe that's board and batten, it's easy.
Sure.
And, yeah, we could see it either way.
So what about this? I think it'd be great we can schedule you first up next month. Does a month give you enough time to?
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't think we're talking about
No, it shouldn't take us longer than that to.
And I can give a kind of, you're done with the planning board?
Essentially, yeah, so you have no other comments.
So, I mean, I guess I could just shoot them an email to say we met.
We haven't gotten approval yet, but, they gave us a soft.
Okay. I think they might be waiting for us.
Yeah, I think that was it. I think they hadn't gotten comments back from the county yet, but I don't think they anticipated any from the county level.
I would say I really congratulate the design. I mean, this is gonna improve.
Yeah.
It's quite central to everybody's life.
Let's do. Yeah,
It's,
they could use it.
And
Yeah,
no more lawsuits.
we
That's the
Safety.
big thing, safety first, yeah.
yeah,
Make
I mean,
driver.
we have a photo of the building as it is now, and I could see exactly what you're talking about with the ice sliding like.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
I think you actually see the ice buildup right there.
yeah,
Yeah. So there's, there's so.
and also the roof, I mean, maybe, I think the metal roof as a material is nice, but I mean, taking a closer look at the roof design, it's nothing. The existing, it's nothing special really. I think the only thing I maybe liked about it at first was that it was kind of different than tops, but it's not necessarily even in like a, I don't know, particularly great way, I guess.
yeah,
Anyway,
all
you're on the right track.
the signage looks really great with the gooseneck lights.
Yeah.
That's all great.
And just evening things out. You're right, that the fenestration is all over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the side, yeah.
Right.
Well, that's like two big additions, one after the other.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, and then, then.
It's kind of like piecemeal
It
together.
was a super.
It originally was a super project, yeah.
Oh, interesting, yeah. And right now, there's just those metal columns are kind of just hanging out, so those are the ones you're gonna wrap.
Yeah, right, and then implement others to, make it make sense, really.
Yeah.
Because right now, they're just kind of there.
Will you have a new tenant for La Bella?
We already have it.
Cool, okay.
Yeah. Will people be able to eat at this time?
I believe
Okay.
I believe so.
That's nice, I'm glad.
Yeah.
No one wants to lose a nice restaurant.
Yeah.
So this sounds great. Feel free to get in touch if there are any questions along the way. But, let's play around with board and batten.
Yeah.
If you really feel like you like the aluminum, let's
Yeah, I'll get a
kind of
sense.
see it in context and see a sample.
I'd like to get
Drop in.
also a cut sheet on the column.
Okay, could you do that?
Yeah, just what you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds great. And we'll, since this is a carryover discussion, we'll schedule you for the first thing
Yeah.
plausible. There may be one little thing before, but sooner than 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. My pleasure. Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
it's
very
gonna
much.
be a nice project.
Yes.
Appreciate your time. Have a great night.
You as well, thanks. Okay. Everybody, thanks. So, let's turn to HPC 2604, which actually probably, I guess it could be, we don't have an application yet, so I think we should probably amend that to 26XX. Just because it hasn't formally been submitted, but I wanted everybody to know, Gordon Pine, who got one of our, partners in preservation certificates and has done such a great job with not only 122 Main Street, but the building, the gray building next door, is thinking of replacing, fence. And fence is in two sections. There's a section on the west side of the backyard that's really degraded. It's like an old stockade fence and it's really falling apart. And then there's a shorter section, sort of at the front line of the house on the Main Street side that he's thinking of replacing. And the question, he's still conducting research and figuring out what he wants to do. But one of the questions that came up just as I met him one day, or met on purpose to talk about this, he wants to put in vinyl, at least in the back. And I said, well, you know, it's a locally landmarked house. We talked for a while, and the more we talked, the more I felt like, you know, maybe not such a terrible idea in the back. It is, you know, good for resisting weather. Stockade fences and similar things aren't. But where we sort of landed, and this is what I wanted to talk about, is anything Main Street facing, if he decides to do that fence as well, I think should be a natural material. The stuff in the back, which is really a parking lot that you just can't see from Main Street, I would be comfortable entertaining a vinyl product that looked good. They don't all look good. A lot of them have really obvious brackets and things that just don't look good, but there's some products that I'd be willing to consider, but it's kind of a policy question. So I wanted to talk about that, and the result of our conversation, I would communicate to Dory. No,
I would like to visit the site.
okay, so you know him, right?
Yeah.
He'd probably welcome your input. Too.
Yeah.
Okay. And anybody else is welcome to, are you just walking in?
My concern is that, you know, once you go down that road, that you
Yes.
allow one person to use inappropriate materials in a landmark, and then others say, oh, why couldn't I do it?
Yeah.
Or why won't you allow me to do it in the future?
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends on if it's the same circumstance, which is, I would only think it would be appropriate as if you couldn't see it from a public right of way. You know, and I think if that's the case, then I think it could be considered that we would, you know, at that point, we could look at drawings and then make a judgment, but I think that, you know, that would be the bare minimum to even consider it is, you know, it can, is it viewable from any public right of way?
I think that's a standard that makes a lot of sense. I mean, here's an interesting thing. If you go to the Chase Bank building, they have a dumpster enclosure. The brown vinyl 6-foot fence looks very good, like from a distance, can't tell. And so we've already got one that's fairly visible on Main Street, so, you know, we never oversaw that, I would think. But, and then I think there's some others sort of in backyards of Main Street. Steve, how do you see the issue?
I'd like to I'd like to see the site, it would be definitely, would be a visit, and then as Shane says, what is it, where is it viewable from, if, if at all? And then I'd be going to consider it. Okay.
Yeah, you know, what's happened in the past is what we're trying to correct now. So I don't think we need to go down that road, but look. Again, maybe if we visit the site, we could understand it better.
Yeah. So, but let's, if you could just kind of make a plan to walk to the site in the next couple of weeks. Sure. I'm guessing the recording might be ready for the May meeting or soon after. And, we can talk about that. I'm not gonna promise anything more than we do. I think we agree that if it's street facing, like, Stephen, you have the picture of, you know, it's beautiful house. It's one of the most, one of the best preserved houses, but there's currently a little picket fence on either side of the house. And I think that should be natural material, and we should do something that speaks to the age of the house. That sounds good. I will carry that answer to him, or that invitation to come next month, and we'll have that conversation. Let me see if I can rip through updates and discussions. Mr. Cook, what's going on Freeman Street?
A lot of construction at 130 that had been, they started quickly after they got their approval. Miriam was just here for 143 and her back deck. I was away last week. I came back last night, and this morning I noticed that at 124 Huguenot Street, where they had been working inside, they were now doing some repair work on the front porch. So they fixed the front steps. I think most of the tenants have left, or their leases ran out, and the owner and cleaned out much of the building, cleared much of the building. So they've been doing 3 months worth of interior work, and they just started doing that. There was as I said, they fixed the front steps, and I believe, and it certainly looked, as I recall, like for like, and they were fixing some of the spindles on the front porch railing.
Okay.
And then on the other side of the street, Shane, your father, has been, landscapers and stone guys have been there, and they're, I guess he's putting in a couple of nose-in parking spaces. So that will solve his parking on the street problem.
Yeah, I haven't even seen it actually. He just kind of brought me up to speed the other day. I was like, oh, okay.
So that's one of them.
Okay.
And it says in pavers, I guess delivered today.
So it's gonna be paved.
Permeable.
Okay. Everybody's.
That's one of them, and then there's a ramp down there, and then the other. So other than that, Huguenot Street's quiet.
That's gonna sort out the difficult parking for your folks, isn't it? Because they really just kind of had to straddle.
Yeah.
And it's been a problem for them, like during snowstorms, the tenant just had nowhere to go. I mean, there's a spot along the garage, the front of the garage, there's enough space to park perpendicular to the entrance. And be off the street for snowplows. Yeah, this will make life easier, I'm sure.
Yeah. Their property actually goes to this line, it turns out, but then
there's a storm.
Yeah, it's like they cut back. So like if you look at their survey, the property actually goes out to here, but then maybe 15 or 20 years ago, they cut it back and put in this kind of like culvert kind of storm drainage.
Is that a village? Or?
Yeah, I don't know, it,
Grants here.
yeah, it's like a swill, yeah, I don't know, it came up in the closing, there was some communication with the village and. Maybe in like the early 2000s or something, so.
And that's the.
Oh, yeah.
Did you happen to see if they had a permit? for that?
They do have one on the window.
Okay, so I think it's like for 19.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Anything else on the street?
Other than, no, actually, I don't think so.
Tom, you wanted to mention about 18 Broadhead.
Yes, thank you. What was it? There
The
was,
like for like painting of their house.
that's right, yeah, Huguenot Street, is repainting one of their houses at 18 Broadhead. Total like for like, they've already, so I just wanted that in the minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cause I was gonna forget. Railroad siding project, no real updates at the moment. Village code changes, no real updates, apart from, maybe this is the time to report. I had a meeting with the mayor, 2 days ago. And then one of the things in the lead up to the vote in November, neither community is trying to do a lot of new legislation. It's going to like gum up anything if there's a dissolution vote. So I don't know if the village code changes because of that. I don't know if Mike wants to push those through quickly or just back off until the vote is over, but just wanted to convey that, I talked to the mayor about a number of HPC things, some of which I'll talk about when we get to executive session. Let me save the rest for them. 1 Grove Street is the Methodist Church. And just today, I finally talked to somebody from the parish, I guess is like the building and grounds committee chair. Laid out the whole thing about why we were nervous about the air conditioner installation. We're totally on the same page, and I said, I'm gonna be away for a couple of weeks, but in early May, let's meet with Bricor, you, and some committee of us to work through something. And I mentioned the metal surrounds that you found. He sounded open to that idea. They may actually be shrinking the units. Yeah, it sounds like they just kind of stalled after presenting that incomplete application. So that feels like it's getting to a good place. Term expirations, we're gonna actually talk about that in executive session. The 250th anniversary, it's going great guns. It's really shaping up to be a very big calendar of lots of stuff. And it's gonna go from, I believe, May 4th, which is the opening of the art show. May 1st?
No, the art show will open on May 5th and
May 5th.
and the first item on the calendar is May 3rd, when we have the reception.
May 3rd for
No, May 3rd.
30th, yeah. So the overall calendar of 250 starts, I think, May 4th. And goes to July 4th. The community wide, and then we're on it.
Because that's not how it was.
What do you?
Raised, it looked like that, the art show, I mean, the first item on this, but I don't know what happened since.
Maybe, I mean, it's certainly gonna be among the first. I thought I saw May 4th, which would be one day. Not first, no. No, it's like the overall thing. So we're on it, and actually, since we last met, I agreed with John Orfatelli from the town HPC to do something on June 6th. We'll just do like a little retrospective of 25 years of historic preservation commissions in New Paltz. That's going to be at Elting on the 6th of June. And then Bill Rhodes is doing, what sounds like a really good walking tour of Main Street on May 9th. Camilla, of course, is heading up the art show, which starts on May 5th
Yes.
and goes until end of June with the reception on the 30th, the afternoon of the 30th. Speaking of art shows, congratulations on your wonderful show, which is still up at Elton and very much should be seen if you can. So that's all looking good. Can you update us on anything for the art show?
Well, there isn't really all that much to say at this point. Submissions will start on April 24 and last the whole week. We have the judges pretty much pinned down. I'm just waiting for one of them to confirm. I will get back in about a week.
Okay.
She
And
might
that would
not be
be,
able to attend the reception, that's the only.
okay, willing to judge, but
Willing to
you
judge,
push
but
through that.
there may be a conflict. But we have commitments already.
That's great.
And
When submissions open, 23rd,
May 24, I mean, sorry, April 24.
24th, okay, for about a week.
Yes, they will, end on April 3rd. And then we have a few days to, install. And then prepare the brochure. And of course, in May, we'll have to start planning the reception. And about that, I just would like to have a commitment from somebody to help me carry the, drinks a day in advance.
The day before?
Yes, the day before, because it's a lot of things for one person to do, and I really need help.
I'm happy to help you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've got a commitment, I will work it out, but I can help. We also, we have a more generous budget than in years past because we've been, refusing the stipends. So more can be bought and less has to be baked.
Because that's a lot of time commitment as well.
Each time.
It is,
And,
all in all, it's 2 weeks.
yeah, people appreciate it, but it doesn't, you don't have to do it. But as we get
And if
closer,
there is nothing there, they will complain. Like, oh, where is the food?
no, we certainly have food, but I think maybe we buy a little more this time. Great, thanks, Camilla, that sounds good. Mandatory workplace and harassment trainings, I think everybody saw that New York State has added yet another one, cybersecurity, so. Yeah, so we want to say that.
Passed on the 8th, but once I get another one, I'll forward it.
What a good night. We have a good night, yeah.
Signed up for the 23rd for the original two.
Okay, I've done mine. In executive session, we can talk about strategies. Budget update is great. Another reason that we've got budget for the reception. We're getting close to the end of the fiscal year. Does anybody foresee needing anything?
Your computers are good?
Pretty brand new.
Yeah.
Yeah. This seems to be working well. I also wanted to let everybody know, so the town has been Zoom bombed a couple more times. And the village has decided along with the town that we're done with Zoom participation unless somebody we're treating it like an accommodation now. So if somebody has a consultant who's in Syracuse that day, they will make arrangements with Sarah, but we're not gonna have sort of open. And Sarah will let people in because they should know who to let in.
Once was enough.
Yeah, that was enough. So no other budget requests. Think about anything you might want. I don't even know what that would look like. Everybody's good for business cards. Okay. I wanted to go into executive session to talk about our term expirations. Anybody have any business before we do that?
I mean, go into executive session to discover term expirations.
Okay, moved, seconded by Camilla. All those in favor? Okay, at this